Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Cape Town Sevens. This one, New Zealand versus Samoa. Anytime these two sides play, it is normally extremely close. Based off current form, though, it's extremely hard to know what Samoan side will show up. They unfortunately cannot make the quarterfinals. New Zealand still have a very good opportunity here. Although, if Samoa pull off the victory, there is a chance that New Zealand may end up missing out. It is all down to what happens in Pool A with Great Britain. Currently, it looks like the Canadians are secure in the quarterfinals. Same with Australia, same with South Africa. Fiji and France are a little bit of a 50-50, depending on what happens, of course, just around the corner. Manu said, hi, I'm back. Welcome in. Hope you are doing well. And Osangi is here in the chat, as said, go Manu. And I think a lot of people just want to see Samoa do well in this contest. They did struggle in their first game up against the Australians, losing it by those 20 points. Then they struggled even more up against Canada, losing it by 26. This one up against New Zealand, after getting a win over the Australians by 30 points for the Kiwis. They all want to keep that momentum flowing. Could be a tricky game for both of these sides. In the starting lineup for New Zealand, it is Leroy Carter, a man who got a hat-trick in the last contest up against the Australians. Now Rohi McGarvey Black, Moses Leo, Sione Molia, Tim Mickelson, Brady Rush, and Scott Curry. So a couple changes compared to what we did see in their last contest up against Australia. For the Samoans, it is Paul Iti Slater, Valvasa Afasua, the captain, Motu Opitai, Tainofo Sineo Tavita. Also alongside him, BJ Lima, getting his first start of the Cape Town Sevens. Eliza Pita, I should say, Alafipo, and Taununa Ulivaya, the last man in that starting side. I can see the Australia and Canada game is still on. Says Manus, very true. They have got the 10 seconds or so remaining in that contest, and then straight after that, we are into the match between New Zealand and Samoa. Alongside that, we have still got two more live streams later on tonight, ladies and gents. We have got Fiji versus Argentina. That is taking place at 5:55 a.m. New Zealand time. And then South Africa versus Ireland at 6:40. How on earth did New Zealand lose to Canada? Ha 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 ha, says Moonstone. It just shows the unpredictability of sevens. Samoa lost to Australia. Fiji lost to France, which I think was a big upset as well. But Canada, they didn't just beat New Zealand, they beat Samoa as well. And they have played like a side who looked extremely dangerous. Now, they did struggle up against the Australians. Their coach, he did say, unfortunately, their mindset just wasn't into this one. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they do in the quarterfinals, because they're a little bit of the unknown, Canada. And to be honest, I got it completely wrong on my prediction, because I've said that I felt like they were going to cause an upset. But I did say that they would beat Australia rather than New Zealand. But it actually ended up that Australia beat them, but they beat everyone else throughout that group. Yeah, the beauty of sevens, you never quite know what's going to happen up until the final whistle, which is why it is always so entertaining and why sides need to perfectly pick when they are going to peak and when they are going to have a couple of crazy games. And well, I always thought they were bad. Good seeing them improve. See, as Moonstone, yeah, see, that's the thing. Like last week, they struggled. They finished last in their group, although they did push New Zealand in their contest last week. But yeah, it's crazy how different 1 week can be for a side. Same with France. They are looking the goods this week compared to last week where they did really struggle. But yeah, very interested to see how sides just pretty much momentum sweep completely. Who do you think will win between New Zealand and Samoa? Be a tough game. Remember, Samoa is the defending champions of the Cape Town Sevens. Says Manus, true, but they cannot actually make their way through to the quarterfinals. They have been beaten too badly in their first couple of contests. So sadly, they will not. Oh, there's a technicality. If they won this game by about 30 points or something and stop New Zealand from getting a bonus point, then they can just advance if Great Britain also lose. So it's a technicality, but at the moment it does seem very unlikely for the Samoans to go through. I actually was extremely harsh in my preview. I've been back in Samoa to win a few games and they've been losing them. So the most recent prediction I gave, I said that New Zealand will win this contest 38 points to 5. So let's see if we can get that right. If we did, I'd feel quite bad because that would be their biggest loss of the Cape Town Sevens thus far. And sevens compared to 15 is literally light years apart. I mean, small nations can literally beat powerhouses like South Africa and New Zealand. Crazy, says Moonstone. And yeah, it's all about just getting it right for that shorter period of time But it doesn't mean that the wins are less deserving, if that makes sense, because a lot of people go, oh, it's sevens, like anything can happen. So in other words, like when the upsets happen, it's a fluke. But I don't think it really is. I think it's still, extremely impressive and a testament to some of these smaller sides and how hard they work to try and get to where they are. But Alafipo about to kick this one off for the Samoans. Few changes made in the starting lineup, and I think it was much needed. So let's see whether or not it does pay off. That one has just travelled the 10 metres, bouncing back to Rohi Makavi Black. And already New Zealand are breaking through, passing out wide. I believe that one's travelled backwards. Yes, it has. And Sione Molia scores within 15 seconds. New Zealand already on the board. That is a brilliant start. Although saying that, the restart off the kickoff, no one was able to claim it cleanly. So that could have been Samoa's ball. That could have been New Zealand's ball. But in the end, Rohi Makavi Black was there. Decided to try and make it an easier kick. So gets it across to Molia, who put in the fend on the Ulivaya. And like I mentioned, New Zealand already having the 7 points on the board. This was the Cape Town Sevens final of last year. It was. And so much has changed since last year. In fact, so much has changed for these two sides since last week. We saw Samoa start off not too badly. Yes, they had a couple of losses, but they were versing some very tough opposition. They've come into this week after that game up against Ireland just as a whole different side. And I don't know whether it's like the mental side of things. Maybe they just feel like they have been defeated. But they can't get it going. They've only scored 2 tries throughout the Cape Town Sevens, which is, I guess, a little bit of a comparison. That was how many they scored in the final up against New Zealand, and that might be the only tries that they score in pool stage matches. Hello, Hamish. The Sevens won't be available on TV until the knockout rounds. Thank you for providing coverage of these group matches, says Gus. No worries at all. We have still got 2 more coming just around the corner. Fiji versus Argentina, as well as South Africa, Ireland. So be sure to stick around for those 2 games. That's going to be the penalty won by Samoa, and now they have booted this one into touch. And in the US, says Gus, and that's an interesting group with the US in it. I feel like anyone still has the potential of going through to the next stage. Nicely claimed by Mutu Opitai. Now going off to this left-hand side. Alafipo passes out wide. Bumping off one was Naulivai, trying to get rid of Leroy Carter. Almost goes into touch. Now kicked him behind for Sineo Tavita. Doesn't manage to clean that ball up, and instead Sione Molia does get it back for New Zealand. Makavi Black backtracking. Almost back to their own 22 here, New Zealand, and that just shows how confident they are that they can get from where they are on the field and not have to panic, although they've made a big and maybe crucial mistake there by giving up the ball off a knock-on. Now Motu Opitai, big fend on Curry, and he gets through. The Samoan score. They'll be happy about that. And they just need to keep on adding to that try-scoring tally now. How is it possible that the USA are pretty decent at sevens but suck horribly at 15s? Completely different game. It's one of those games that, like the USA, they're able to utilise, I guess, their running game a lot more in a game of sevens as compared to 15s, because in 15s, of course, you've got a lot more forwards doing a lot more work, whereas in the USA sevens team, they've only got a few forwards who know exactly what they need to do. Easier to train 3 or so forwards than the 8, plus the subs. So, yeah, I think sevens suits their style better. But once again, they can be hot and cold, just like any sevens side on the circuit. That kick has gone over from Samoa. Nice conversion. And I'll make the score 7-all now between these two sides. We kicked off high by Alafipo. It's bounced in the field of play, or at least I thought it did. Looks like they have said that it's gone out on the full, must have landed on the line, and now New Zealand have the opportunity on the halfway line to decide what exactly they want to do. Taifono Sineo Tavita was the man who took that kick as well for Samoa. I should mention they have switched from Nuula earlier on. Scrum feed for New Zealand. Samoa and New Zealand have traded wins evenly across their past 6 meetings, so 3 apiece, which just shows how close these two sides can be, and I'm actually very glad to see the scoreline sit in the way that it is. Nice pass out wide for New Zealand. Leroy Carter, he has been pushed out. And a big shot coming in as well from Sinio Tavita. Oh, in fact, they've actually said that it was a forward pass. A little bit further back as well, but Leroy Carter, just big shot on him by Nauli Vaea, one of the more sized players in the Samoan team. Now it looks like they have taken that one quickly. Samoa making a mistake in the breakdown, but New Zealand were offside, or in fact, yep, it was. Brady Rush was offside. So Samoa now inside of their own 22 can look for the kick for touch. Now they tried that in their first game up against the Australians and they actually missed touch and that took a lot out of their sails. That one's gone out about 40 metres out from Samoa's line. They're just showing the stat that Samoa are the defending champions. Unfortunately, they will not be able to defend their throne for this week, which will disappoint them, but there's still a chance that they can finish ninth in this overall standings. Now a bit of a rushed pass there from Samoa. Curry jumping onto Vavasa Afasua, but it's still at the back for Sinio Tavita. Now going to the right-hand side. Pauleti Slater Alafipo thought about the offload, but did see there was a man in the way of Moses Leo. And Island Rugby has improved a lot. Exactly right. And to be honest, I actually predicted them to be in the top 4. That is a great run from Alafipo. Is it another try? In fact, it's going to be Nauli Vaea. And it is the try for Samoa. They will take the lead in this contest. Right near the halftime whistle as well. Who do you think will win the Cape Town Sevens? Or at least be in the final with the Cape Town Sevens? Remember, South Africa haven't won the Cape Town Sevens since 2015. I'm thinking South Africa are going to go far. I actually predicted them to win just because I feel like momentum is a wonderful thing and they currently have a lot of it. Few players that they have returned into their side. They are looking very strong. So yeah, I did say that they would go far, and I think I said it would either be Fiji, Ireland, or New Zealand who make it through to the final with them. Now, I'm actually backing Ireland to do quite well throughout this competition, and so far they haven't disappointed. They've had 2 good wins, actually sitting above South Africa on the overall table. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Currently, they are just showing how the group stages have got at the quarterfinals sitting. Would be New Zealand versus Argentina. Would be Australia taking on none other than the South Africans. Beautiful kickoff from Samoa, retaining their own. This is the Samoa that we know and love. Nauli Vaea, close to the touchline, just tries to find the offload, but it's gone into touch, and that will be half-time. The score sitting 14 points to 7 in favour of the Manu Samoa Sevens side. Hamish, has Canada ever won against New Zealand or South Africa, or was this the first time? They have beaten the sides before. Or at least I believe they have. I know that Ireland's never beat New Zealand in sevens, which is still crazy for me to think because of how close they've been multiple times. But yeah, either way, like Canada, so far this has been a competition that they will certainly remember, and they just need to back it up tomorrow. They looked a little bit tired in their last game up against the Australians, but if they can go far in this comp, they would be more than happy. There's a pattern of players from all other sports taking up sevens, especially American football and athletics. Either there isn't young or youth rugby. Even now, few American players have rugby nose. And also we have got there about to get to sleep or about to go to sleep. How's Australia doing after the demoralising effort versus New Zealand? Well, they actually beat Canada in the end by about 20 points or so, or maybe about 19, I think it was. So they have made their way through to the quarterfinals, and more than likely they'll be facing South Africa. Now that is actually going to change though. If South Africa beat Ireland, then I believe Australia will be going head-to-head with the Irish. So could be interesting. See how that one ends up closing out. And heck yeah, favourite party says a mark, and also well considering the NFL and athletics have a foot in rugby, are they still pretty bad? Oof, says a moon. So yeah, it's just about getting the players to stick around for long enough, isn't it? Because of course NFL is always going to take priority, and rugby union has learnt that until there's a lot more money involved in rugby union, until it's a little bit more well known, they are always going to struggle to be able to entice the big players. It's similar to what we see for Australia. Rugby league dominates, rugby union gets the scraps, and then every once in a while they'll get a good player who will go away after like a year. On weekends, you always start late because you have the commentary Sevens URC at Champions Cup. Says Marnus, that is very true. We do not get a lot of sleep on the weekends, but that's okay. I think I'm going to be running off about 2 hours sleep for tomorrow, which is tis what it is. I should mention anyone who is young, be sure to get your 8 hours of sleep. Don't do what I do. I'm an idiot. But that's going to be now another run here for Samoa Alofipo. Gets his second of the contest. In fact, sorry, that is his second in the sevens circuit so far. But Alofipo, Samoa, trying to knock New Zealand out of this competition at the moment. And Major League Rugby is the US. Says a Blues Nate. No one there to be able to block. New Zealand are on the chopping block at the moment, I'll be honest. They have got potential here of if Great Britain win their game up against the USA, New Zealand may find themselves going home. NFL is a money machine. The highest paid player earns 20 plus mil a year, says Chronic. Yeah, and I don't think there's many rugby players getting that. And in fact, there's none. So, yeah, it's always going to be a driving factor. Like, there will be some players who are willing to take that pay cut for the chance of creating something new. There we go. Samoa, actually, if this match stays the way that it is, Samoa would make their way through to the next stage. That would be massive for them to knock out New Zealand in the quarterfinals. There's still a chance for Samoa. I mentioned how they'd have to win this game by like 25 points. Seems like maybe not even that much. So how long does Samoa make it, even though losing 2 games? So how does Samoa make it? Because of the fact that there's only 12 teams rather than 16. Now, there's a chance that that changes, of course, because Great Britain, if they win their game up against the USA, I believe that that will knock the Samoans out. There's still a lot to happen. But yeah, New Zealand currently sitting bottom of the bunch. And that is due to the head-to-head fixture as well, I should mention. I believe, anyway, that has changed the rankings. And why would they get paid 20 mil a year when they only play 2 minutes per game? Says Moonstone. It's what happens. I mean, at the end of the day, there's all that licensing that's drifted forward from New Zealand. Another mistake made here. See, I believe it's the head-to-head that actually gets Samoa through ahead of New Zealand here. It'll be interesting. New Zealand have to start firing or else they could find themselves going home. They were through to the final last year. We were talking about how it was New Zealand who were through to the final alongside Samoa. And now it seems like Samoa might be the side out of these two that actually make it far. And so are the salaries. Kickers earn more than the rugby kickers or rugby players. Not all of the concussion-free even. Says chronic underachiever, and that seems unfair, to be honest. Says Junior Silver, it's just the new way that they've decided to do it. I don't necessarily agree with the fact that they've got 12 teams rather than 16. I think 16 was perfect because you had 2 teams from each pool go through. Nice and simple to work out. Top 2 sides, easy peasy. But, yeah, now they've got the best and second best third place teams make their way through. Yeah, it must be head-to-head, goes through ahead of points difference because New Zealand's points difference currently is 4. Samoa's is minus 31. But they are ahead. Do you think the Cape Town Sevens atmosphere is the best? Every time I have been to Cape Town Sevens, I just went like, wow, because the atmosphere is just unbelievable. Says Marnus, I'll be honest, it seems a little bit timid this year compared to some of the years that we've seen. Like the people in the pools have been having an absolute ball of a time. And there was a cup snake being made before, but I don't think there's been as much dressing up as there normally is in Cape Town for the Sevens. Perhaps that's a finals day type thing that they will be doing. Now back across to the right-hand side, another opportunity here for Samoa to secure the victory. New Zealand have 3 minutes to try and get 2 converted tries and take it to golden point time. Imagine playing a team that loses both games and they still make it, says Junior Silver. Yeah, it's an interesting system because normally the old system was you'd either have a side that won all their games and a side that had only won 2, I think it was, or you had a side that had won 2 games, another side that had won 2, and then the third team, if they had won 2, then it was the technicality that got them through. And Cody Vine now has the ball in hand, wasn't able to get his offload away to Tapea Cook-Savage. Now back to the right. New Zealand just don't seem to be able to have an answer here. They're able to get past the Samoan defence at the moment, and maybe that is something that could cost them throughout the later stages of this contest. Cody Vine now. He manages to break through 3 tackles, eventually wrestled down by Paul Eti Slater. I'm going to go for GB for the All Blacks to make it through, says Junior Silva. Although if GB win, they will actually make their way through, I believe, rather than New Zealand. The only way for New Zealand to go through is if they manage to somehow win this game. So to do so, they'd have to get 2 converted tries. Brilliant bit of work. Oh no, offside from the Samoans there. Yeah, the only way for New Zealand to go through to the next stage is to score 2 converted tries and then win in golden point time. I don't believe they've got enough time to be able to score 3 tries here. Now Curry passes it out wide. Mickelson having to cut back inwards as he knows how important those extra 2 points could be here in this contest. Leroy Carter going back to Tapea Cook-Savage. Now Sione Molia. There's a little bit of attacking intent here from New Zealand. Now Rohim McGarvey Black cuts back on the inside. Now Molia takes contact, gets back to his feet. 5 metres from the line. Cody Vi, short ball. In fact, they've gone over the top. Curry will score it. And that is going to add an extra 7 points onto the board for New Zealand. This one will go down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen. New Zealand, if they score 1 more try, they go to golden point time. This is the kind of setup that we saw last time these 2 sides play. We have to remember Samoa were ahead 12 points to 7, and in the end, New Zealand, right in the final moments, scored a try to win the contest with the conversion. You wonder whether or not there's something brewing here as well. You'd like to think not for the sake of Samoa. It would be too many times that we have seen it go back to back. And here's a fun fact. New Zealand now are back into the top 8 because they've got that bonus point for being within 7. So if New Zealand do not receive that bonus point, Samoa would be sitting at the top. So Samoa, this is actually just as important for them. They have to risk it all here because I don't know whether or not they know this, though, the players. If they kick this ball out in the final minutes of this contest, they are knocked out of the Cape Town Sevens. And I wonder whether they know that. And we're about to find out. He's going to boot it out. If he boots it into touch, they're going home. No one told the Samoan players that they needed to win this game by more than 7. And that kick going into touch has now given New Zealand the opportunity to go through to the next stage because they did get defeated, but they were within 7. Samoa just kicked their hopes of making the quarterfinals away, unfortunately. And it's a sad reality, but that is exactly what has just happened. And you're going to be gutted for the players when they go off the field and they find out that that was the case. They didn't want New Zealand to win the game. And currently, the way that it sits, Samoa finished 4th in their group. That hurts them. And nice good work, lad. It is what it is, says Junior Silva. Well, it is, but you still feel for them a little bit, you know? Like the fact that, yeah, would have been close. But New Zealand are not confirmed in the quarterfinal. Samoa win New Zealand once more. And Cape Town says Manus, they do, but they didn't win that game by 8 points. So it does mean now New Zealand will have a chance of going through to the quarterfinals, but Samoa are now knocked out of the competition. We have got there, nice work, lads. Says the Blues next to the next live stream that we have got, ladies and gentlemen, will be at 5:55 a.m. New Zealand time. So be sure to check that out. But anyone who is new to the channel, also be sure to hit that subscribe button. We are back tomorrow with Samoa's games, with New Zealand's games, depending on when they take place, of course, because there could be a very different kind of schedule for both of those teams. One going through to the quarters, maybe one missing out, or maybe both missing out on their next opportunity. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for Fiji versus Argentina.